Yo, what's up boys and welcome back to yet another video. This video is going to be a bit of an update on exactly what's happening with, I guess, ARMA 4 or ARMA Reforger as we now know it. If you guys missed my last video, I was talking about this game called ARMA Reforger, which this leaker said apparently was the next ARMA game. And lo and behold, between now and then, there's been a bunch of new ARMA 4 screenshots. We have confirmed that Bohemia actually have made a trademark for the name ARMA Reforger, so that's almost certainly going to be the next ARMA game, if not ARMA 4 in quotations. So today I'm going to be sharing my personal opinions. We're going to have some screenshots, we're going to have some conspiracy theories, and we're going to have a good time. So if you're not already excited for ARMA 4, by the end of the video, you probably should be. The main reason you should be excited is because the leaker confirmed that Bohemia were going to have a minority share purchased by Tencent a few days before it was officially announced. And of course, he did also confirm the name of the game ARMA Reforger before it was publicly trademarked. So if he's right about that, then maybe he's right about some kind of new AAA game coming out in 2021, whether that's ARMA or another game from Bohemia. Either way, it's something exciting, new, and it's on new Infusion engine. I think that's exciting. Or maybe you just don't care. I don't know, but it's my YouTube channel, so for today we're gonna care about it. So if you don't care, I don't care that you don't care, okay? Shut up, okay? Something you definitely should care about though is Dying Light 2. So thank you to Techland for sponsoring this video. They are the developers of Dying Light 2. Just recently we did get to know the release date of this game, which is going to be December 7th of 2021. This release date was announced in their new show, which is going to be a regular thing they're going to do, called Dying to Know, which has interviews with the developers, gameplay, and information on Dying Light's lore. In the first episode, they also announced their new website, techlandgg.com, where you can get exclusive goodies in and out of the game. If you don't know anything about Dying Light already, it's a game you can play solo, or you can play with your friends with 2 to 4 players. It's set in an open world with zombies, special zombies, and occasionally some humans. And this game, in specific Dying Light 2, is putting a lot of emphasis on the idea of choice affecting the world around you and the story itself, which is really, really cool. The game will be building on top of the amazing and brutal combat system from Dying Light 1 we all know and love. I've been a massive fan of Techland and the zombie experience that they create. In fact, I left a positive review of Dying Light 1 back in 2015. Dying Light 2 is pretty much the only game I'm actually excited for right now. Along with Dying Light 2 being released later on this year, they have also announced Dying Light Platinum Edition, which includes Dying Light, its expansion, the following, all of the DLC, and that's currently being sold for 75% off, which you can find a link to in the description. So if you want to pre-order Dying Light 2 or check out Dying Light 1, which I can highly recommend with some friends, check out the links at the top of the description. Interestingly, that ad read I just did very loosely relates to this video on ARMA 4/ARMA Reforger. Actually, one of the lead, let me see exactly what his title was, the lead producer on DayZ, Eugene, he actually left Bohemia a while ago now. It was back in 2019 to become a lead producer for Techland. So that's an interesting coincidence, I guess. But this does seem to be a common thing with Bohemia, which makes I'm excited for the future of Bohemia, the near future with Bohemia for several reasons, not just the ones I talked about in the intro, but I'm also a bit scared because of information like just a bunch of people leaving Bohemia, essentially. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a sinking ship or something, but this was talked about, I guess, late 2020, and also Biosphere, who is the leaker in this case, who now has a public Twitter account, he did also mention that if we look at the ARMA free credits today, there's not many people left in the Bohemia workhouse anymore who were actually originally working on ARMA free. Again, not necessarily anything too concerning, but I thought it would be interesting to note. Also, quick shout out to Sebsin. I'll have a link to his video in the description. I did learn a lot of things through his video. It's a really good video. And also, Call Me Tommy. I learned a bunch of information through his video as well. And it seems like he learned a lot of information through my original video, or at least he was influenced by my original video he put in the description. So go check out both those guys. They made some really good coverage. This video is going to be less so edited. Theirs are. This is more so going to be the ranting of a madman, something like that. But it will also have some unique perspective and some additional information which maybe you did or didn't know. So, sorry, I almost died. Anyway, there's 6 images in total, which are of the new Infusion engine. These are images which I also shown in my intro, but these are images which were pieced together through a bunch of months by, actually, I don't know who pieced them together, but anyone can do them. If we look at this right here, you'll see this dev blog, or not dev blog, but a blog on Bohemia's website, bohemia.net. They talked not only about ARMA Reforger here, which I'm going to read out in a second, but this also shows you what the puzzle pieces look like. So someone's put those all together, and now we have 6 full images, which we can look at, and we can take quite a lot of useful information from these, I believe. We can maybe work out where they're set, whether they're unique assets or not, etc, etc. Before I get into that, I did want to quickly talk about the trademark, since this is something which is a recent-ish development. This is something which has happened between my first and my second, which is this one. Video on ARMA Reforger / ARMA 4. And I know those aren't necessarily the same thing, by the way. But if we look at the trademarks, Bohemia obviously recently filed for ARMA Reforger early on in 2021. We can see the actual application was 0403, and there's a bunch of processes that have to happen for this, I guess, with trademark laws in Europe. I don't know exactly how it works, but the point is, it wasn't public before now. And on top of that, they also did actually go ahead and file a trademark for something called Silica. I have no idea what that is. I don't love the name. I don't love the name ARMA Reforger either, but no one asked. And also Infusion, which is, of course, the engine which ARMA Reforger is undoubtedly going to be based on. To go back on that one, if we do read this dev blog, which I'll have a link to all of this stuff in the description, by the way, if you want to read through this stuff yourself. But a few months ago, this was posted on February 5th of 2021. This might be news to you guys, but Marek, the CEO of Bohemia, said that the one thing that's certain about the future of a franchise is that the limitations found in some of the core ARMA-free technology makes evolution no longer a viable option moving forward. Something we've been aware of for many years now, so our biggest task is to redefine the very foundations which the future of ARMA can be built upon. This is talking about any updates of ARMA 4, which is definitely something we've never even seen Bohemia really actively respond to, despite obviously there being a massive gap between right now in 2021 and ARMA 3's original release in 2013. So it's cool that they are addressing this head on. It's something we've already heard about before, essentially this idea of we need to make a new engine before we can, make a new game. So there will definitely be some game, whether it's ARMA Reforger or not. Known Bohemia probably won't be, because they're crazy like that and make things like Wildlands and Vigor. Maybe 2021, from what the leaker said. I genuinely think 2021 or 2022 is going to be something, and there's reason to believe it's actually going to be happening really, really soon, which I'll talk about in a second. There's a lot of information to go through here. Like I said, rantings of a madman, or ramblings of a madman. Let's go ahead and look at these images though quickly. I'm sure while looking at these images, you think, this doesn't look very impressive, first and foremost. There's nothing too groundbreaking with them. They do look maybe more photorealistic than, I guess, pictures which you would see from ARMA with real virtuality. Real Virtuality 4 came out back with ARMA 3's release in 2013, so it's a good thing that finally we're getting something completely new, but these don't exactly look too groundbreaking, right? And they also probably remind you a lot of Shinaris. You can actually see a license plate right here, which in Call Me Tommy's video, his source, which he found on Reddit, did cite this to be a license plate which could be potentially from the Cold War era, which doesn't really surprise us that much considering ARMA Reforger, its name, is probably based on Exercise Reforger, which was a annual exercise and campaign conducted during the Cold War. The chances of ARMA Reforger being based in the Cold War were already relatively high, but this really solidifies that. Oh, here's the Reddit post right here from Buff D's Nuts. Thanks, Tommy, for this amazing source. I couldn't have found this myself. So it's a Skoda 120/125, which is a vehicle you're going to see a lot in Eastern Europe. And you can see the license plate format looks like it's from Czech Republic 1990 to 1995, which is also when the Cold War was happening. Strange coinkydink right here. On a side note, no one asked my opinion, but I'd rather an ARMA which is set in modern day, much like, let's say, a Call of Duty Modern Warfare's weaponry. I love weapons in that game. Rather than having sci-fi with ARMA 3, a bit too much sci-fi. But it does seem like Bohemia as a whole don't like using real weapon names either, which is a bit of a letdown. The Malok just doesn't quite hit as hard, and neither does the VSD. I'm sorry. But then if you look at another source, although this was from the leaker, whereas these are actually from Bohemia, this one right here says completed sees Vernon, which Vernon is a city in France. So this isn't really adding up at all. You might, if you're really, really sweaty, be able to actually work out if this is indeed Vernon, France, what road this is on. I'm not going to do that, but if you want to do that, which you definitely don't, I wish you good luck, because it's probably not even in France, but it does that. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's not. This claim was made by Mr. Disposable Username, who also called me Lulu for some reason. I don't know what that means. But ignoring that, the game itself is probably not set in France. This is more than likely somewhere in Eastern Europe. The license plate is obviously going to be a big part of that, but ignoring even that, it just looks like Chernarus. The large barn over here, the way the foliage and everything looks like. We've got an R barn, a V3S kind of looking thing over here. We've got, it looks like Chernarus. Luckily, although some of these assets are undoubtedly ones which they used in DayZ, for example, most of these buildings are not buildings which we've seen in previous Bohemia games, which is good news because I'm sick of Bohemia recycling their buildings throughout ARMA 2 to ARMA 3 to DayZ. A lot of these buildings which they use in their games have been in the Bohemia catalog for like a decade now. Some of the buildings which are from originally ARMA 2. Although you can see things like a pump right here, a water pump, if you compare the model with DayZ, they are slightly different. Good job, Bohemia. This model, however, might not be different. Very upset with you, Bohemia. It's a real fucking car. How is it going to be modeled differently? If you want to see all these images for yourself and dissect everything about them, again, I'll leave a link to that in the description, as well as all of the images which I shown in the previous video, which interestingly, very, very interestingly, all of these images were actually, I didn't know you could even do this on Twitter. Genuinely didn't know this. But you can see it says media not displayed. This image has been removed in response to a report from a copyright holder. Never seen that in my life. I don't know about you guys, but I've never seen that. But a lot of these images which Biosphere tweeted out have now been removed. I would say, like, I don't want to, I guess, do something Bohemia wouldn't want me to do, aka letting this be known, I guess, and still publicizing the images which have been deleted. But I mean, this is only going to build your excitement for any potential Bohemia games in the future, so it's fine, right? Bohemia don't hate me. I think they sent me this. I think, I don't know when, but yeah, they don't hate me. I think, I hope they don't. I don't want to be hated by the guys who made my career. That wouldn't be cool at all. But yeah, it's very interesting how all of these were removed. This could have been a false claim, but unlikely, but only certain images were striked. I mean, it wasn't really anything too crazy. Like, I don't know exactly what all of these tweets were, but you can see, like, just some really, really, probably just really old images, which you probably shouldn't base, I guess, what to expect with this game on. Some of these images might be a bit newer, like this one of ARMA Reforger logo, but ones like this one right here at the bottom, which I was showing you guys earlier, I mean, it just, we can only assume it's probably really, really old. In fact, this even kind of looks like ARMA 2, with things like the lack of ragdolls. Not that necessarily these ragdolls, but like these, you know, static, flat bodies on the floor just look a bit dated, I guess, now. So a lot of this stuff could be from who knows when. All I know is the guy who said some stuff which turned out to be true. He said some not so nice things about Bohemia, the Infusion engine, and what's going on behind closed doors over there. But he clearly doesn't like Bohemia for some reason. This guy right here, I don't know why. He just shit talks him all day. Kind of rude, to be honest. Going back to the lack of ragdolls and saying how archaic that looks, that is actually also a thing in DayZ. There is no ragdolls in DayZ. I don't know exactly how the Infusion implementation works with DayZ because it's not full Infusion, as I'll talk about in a second here in this video. But I hope that's a thing that's in, because that seems pretty important. And I don't know if it's just me. I am excited in some ways, but these screenshots, none of them really blew my mind away. None of it was like, whoa, this is the future. And I hope we get to see that soon from Bohemia, because they have to have been working on something. They, as I'll say in a second, have a lot of money, a lot of employees, yada, yada, yada. Maybe I've just been spoiled with EFT and that kind of stuff, where like, that stuff just blows your mind. Some of the you know, features that you kind of wish would come to an open world game, like this level of detail of weapons and the animation systems and the medical system, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, back to the video. But yeah, a quick side thought, which is something which Tommy didn't really address too much in his video, and I assume neither did Sebsin. Like I said, I didn't, or maybe I didn't say that, but I didn't watch these videos in their entirety. But if we do actually see in Sebsin's video right here, the positions, if you filter by the projects and click on Unannounced Projects, you can see in this video, which is from about a month ago now, it does say 20 open positions. But if we look today, click select project and then unannounced, you can see it was actually 25. So they are clearly opening a bunch of positions. Maybe some of these positions have even been filled a month ago since this video for this unannounced project. Also, we can look at the Infusion section right here and see what's full. It'll be interesting to look back at this video in a month or two and see what's going on. But Bohemia are hiring a bunch of people for an unannounced project. The question is it something crazy like Vigor/Wildlands, or is it just ARMA Reforger? Obviously, at this point, Bohemia still have not announced that ARMA Reforger even exists. Some people have speculated that, in fact, including Tommy, but I've seen someone speculating this in my chat, that there's a chance that an announcement could occur on the 20-year anniversary of ARMA Cold War. ARMA Cold War, if you guys didn't know already, originally released on the 22nd of June, 2001. So that would obviously make this potential announcement coming out actually in 3 weeks from now. That does sound like a great time to do it. And clearly they have something to present. And Bohemia have talked about in the past wanting to present something which uses their new engine, Infusion. So maybe even an announcement of a game, an announcement of what Bohemia have in store could be happening on that date. If not that date, from the leaker, from what the leaker said, and from my personal opinion, I feel like there has to be at least an announcement this year, but I'm prepared to be disappointed, I guess. If that happens, it happens. But if we look at some other things which kind of help me build this personal opinion, we can see that DayZ in their 2020 roadmap did say that, as outlined in our Bohemia in 2019 blog post, Infusion technology will power all of Bohemia Interactive's future titles, and to support it, some team members moved to work fully on it last June, leaving DayZ with a much smaller development team consisting of seasoned developers across various departments. So the interesting thing about this one, you can also see that Biosphere says right here, back in December of 2020, only 10 developers work on DayZ, no future content is planned, only bug fixes and finishing unfinished stuff. We already knew this without this guy even saying this, but Bohemia obviously are not planning like a big expansion, any new maps, like helicopters, boats, or a lot of that stuff we promised a long time ago. Is that ever coming to DayZ? I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't. There's no reason to believe it is. Even the DayZ 2021 roadmap, they didn't exactly promise too much other than, I believe, 4 updates this year, which might add in some new weapons. We did get the AS Valve recently with DayZ. But the point is, there's really just a skeleton crew working on DayZ right now. So they're just trying to, keep it afloat, keep some bug fixes coming out. And this is going to continue to make Bohemia a lot of money. Believe it or not, if we look at these numbers right here, DayZ has made them a lot of money, or maybe you do believe that. But you can see right here that DayZ in 2020, this one is, Bohemia Interactive in 2020, has 6.2 million active players. A lot of this is console players. DayZ has a massive console following. I didn't think it would do well on console, but it did. Also, that says 6.4, not 6.2. But yeah, DayZ in terms of like YouTube and Twitch is super, super alive. And in recent years, considering it's still being relatively expensive compared to ARMA Free, has even sold more copies. It's made them a lot of money. ARMA, not so much, which makes me believe, like I've said in other videos, maybe a DayZ 2 is something Bohemia might consider down the line, because DayZ is pretty good at what it does, but could it do a better version of that on a full Infusion engine with regular updates, not just small weapon updates and bug fixes? Maybe, as weird as it sounds, maybe. We can see in 2019 that DayZ had sold 1.1 million copies of the game on PC and console, sold a bunch of DLC. For some reason, people bought Livonia. Sorry, I'm being rude. I didn't like Livonia, and it was on DayZ and ARMA. It was a bit of a letdown, but people bought apparently, so that's good. Basically, TLDR, Bohemia have a skeleton crew working on DayZ. They have a skeleton crew working on ARMA Free too, right? Because we aren't releasing any more DLCs for ARMA Free either. There's no new maps. There's no new big expansions. There's no like big bug fixes or anything like that. There's nothing big planned for DayZ. There's nothing big planned for ARMA Free. And in case you didn't know already, Bohemia have a lot of employees. If we go ahead and look at the Wikipedia page, they have, according to this at least, 400 plus employees. This could have went down a bit between 2018 and 2021. But regardless, that's a lot of people. And we know that maybe 20% of those people, if not less, are currently working on things like, probably less, on DayZ and ARMA, which means there's a lot of resources behind something else. But what is that something else? We don't know. In this argument, I'm pretending finance, etc. doesn't exist. It definitely does, but still, you get the overall point here. In fact, in this image right here, you can see that during the year of 2020, we actually hired 103 new employees. So yeah, I would be curious to know exactly how many people are working for them to this date. There's probably some way to find it somewhere, maybe on LinkedIn, something like that, but it's definitely a big number. Infusion could offer us a lot of benefits, essentially the same experience we have with Armor Free, the same modability, and in fact, this is something we should probably look back at the images, but the same level of everything, but just delete that editor. No, shut the fuck up and start. Fuck, I fucked up my outtake of my outtake. Fuck. Why should you be excited for Infusion, you might ask? Like, why even have any, I guess, hype behind this? Well, Armor Free and DayZ made Bohemia a lot of money, more money than they've ever seen. And as long as this money is being put to even decent use, Infusion could be huge, because as you can see right here, they do say that Infusion is being used in DayZ. DayZ is our first game to make use of some of its components. Specifically, it has adopted its rendering solution and animation systems. So it's not entirely working on Infusion. I don't know how exactly that works, how it's like partially Infusion, but it's partially like real virtuality, we assume. That's a bit of a weird idea, but that's what they said. And it's been running on partial Infusion since, I believe, 2019 with DayZ 1.0, or was it late 2020? Or was it early 2020? Let me Google it. Yeah, it was 2019, I guess. So DayZ 1.0 must have came out in March of 2019. So it's been a while now. But yeah, the Infusion engine, through that at least, we can see, I guess, a small glimpse of it. The idea of, less desync, higher FPS, just bare everything through means of Bohemia having a shit ton of money and hopefully a shit ton of talent through this money. That's very, very exciting. In fact, in these screenshots, not only can we see the actual image of the game, which is cool, but because this is in the screenshot, the actual editor, we can assume that these tools are going to be something that users are going to get their hands on. It looks more akin to Unreal. I don't really know exactly how the content creation tools are with Arma. I'm not a modder, but they definitely don't look like this. They definitely don't look as modern. They're dated, they're more antiquated, the documentation is a bit limiting, I've heard, with DayZ. This could really be a huge step forward to making this sandbox of make whatever you want, but with bare everything. Obviously, one of the biggest things which sucks about Armor Free is, obviously it looks kind of bad now, although it has had some updates since 2013 on its release, but it's just dated. It's desync, you can trade frag, the FPS is terrible. Maybe this could fix a lot of those main issues, maybe. And then if this is more like Unreal and it's just easier to create worlds and to create missions and all that kind of stuff, I'm not really sure if you'd want to make that using this editor or not. But even if you can just make worlds better, do whatever you want with this tool, that would be obviously, again, a huge step forward. There's some tweets which, like I said before, from Biosphere are concerning. One's like, he said after tweeting something else that this leaves less than 100 people for Infusion and the AAA project pretty low. Yes, that is a lot lower than the potential of, I don't know, since we have like 400, 500 employees, at least half of that, 50% of that going towards this. Obviously, it depends on how far along that this engine is as to how many of those people can even work on it. Obviously, I keep on saying obviously, but if it's in its early stages, then it's not like these people can get hands-on with the tools if the tools don't exist, right? But yeah, there's a lot of things which I guess only time will tell, saying things like this game is going to be on a different launcher, saying that it's going to be on consoles as well. PlayStation later didn't pass Sony certification. Going to be on Xbox and PlayStation. That would be huge. It would give Arma a much bigger audience, but at the same time, would this like drag it down? It really just depends on, like, I don't know, either Bohemia or like they've got skeleton crews on DayZ and Arma, their main games, and they're creating something amazing, or they're gonna go bankrupt. Not bankrupt, but you know what I mean? Like, things are gonna go horribly next year and it's all over. Like, it's one of the two, and I don't know which one it is. Bohemia, I think most of us have always had a bit of a very confusing company kind of perspective on them. They make some decisions which don't really make any sense to us, right? But maybe they're doing something good with all the money which they've earned. Maybe. For now, let's set our eyes on the 22nd of June 2021 and see what happens there. We have a lot of exciting things around the corner. There's a lot of video game big announcements right now. I think Battlefield are making some kind of announcement in a few days. There's E3 in a few days as well. I think between the 7th to the 11th of June 2021. So I've never been this confident, right, with Bohemia in the past and felt like it was going to be this year. But it has to be this year. Bohemia are doing something. It's been way too long since there's been an ARMA game. It's been way too long since there's been an announcement. I think some of the stuff which Biosphere said probably will end up being false, but most of it will end up coming true. And like I said, one of those things is something's happening in 2021. That's what he said. Kind of. Like, I don't know. When this actually comes around, like, is it even going to be something which I guess kind of appeals to what we like about ARMA 3? Only time will tell. Like, the idea of a sandbox, like, it's kind of like, you know, 5M right now. You join a server, it downloads the mods, or even Gary's mod. You join a server, it downloads the mods. It's really easy. One of the biggest things with ARMA 3 mods is they aren't hard to install, but there is a bit of brain power that needs to be done. Just clicking on join server and downloading the mods makes it so much easier, but there's so much potential for a game which is just a really, really good sandbox. Even 5M has some downsides. The player controller is it's not great. Things like custom maps, they exist, but apparently they're really, really hard to do. The game wasn't designed for modding. Making this game a sandbox designed from the ground up modding. You can see right here, this was Bohemia Interactive in 2020. They mentioned Infusion right here, saying that we had a bunch of people working on it behind the scenes. And they say they upgraded rendering and the physical engine, improved performance by a mile, and employed a ton of optimization techniques. We also implemented many features that were specifically requested by our game teams and significantly improved support for creating mods. One of the biggest parts about making a good sandbox game is making that sandbox moldable in the way you want it to be molded. ARMA 3 did a good job, but that game is kind of old. I think Bohemia know they can do a better job now. They know exactly what people want out of this to make it better. It's not that much of a mystery. It's kind of like creating a great zombie survival game, like the day before. You know what you want to make a great zombie survival game. You want like big map, 1 million zombies, loads of hordes and stuff, 5,000 players. That's what the day before is promising. Same thing with this. You know what people want, except this is actually possible, whereas the day before is probably a scam. Well, not a scam, but we'll see about that game. Yeah, I'm not so sure on the day before. A lot of people ask me about that as well, but I have had definitely more people asking me about ARMA 4. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. I'm going to wrap up the video here. If you guys got any questions or you want to discuss ARMA 4, ARMA Reforger, whatever else, feel free to do that in the comments. Again, I do know there was a difference between ARMA 4 and ARMA Reforger. Biosphere did say not only you can find wives, sisters, and sons in Bohemia Interactive too. He said that, apparently, but he did also say that ARMA Reforger was going to act as a test bed. There's a chance he might have deleted that tweet. I guess we'll have a look for it really quickly. Yes, yeah, I couldn't find it. I have no idea where that tweet was, but at some point, I'm sure it's probably in Call Me Tommy's video at some point. But they say, he says that apparently this game is just like a test bed or something for Infusion. You know, it's our first game on Infusion, or maybe it isn't. Maybe Silica is. I don't know what that is. I don't know. Anyway, if I stop watching, make sure to drop a like. Make sure to let me know if you guys would like me to keep making these updates. Hopefully in the future, once Bohemia actually talk a bit more about this, it should be a bit more straightforward instead of ramblings and a lot of thinking and a lot of... I mean, look at these tabs. I've got like 20 tabs open. And I've also got keys in my hands. So yeah, have a lovely day, and I'll see you guys next time. In which, the 22nd, yeah, totally something happening on the 22nd. Totally.